I've been playing around with some new LED lights, and so in this program I'm going to compare these new MetryGrow LED lights. This one here is a 60 watt unit and this is the 100 watt unit. I'm going to go through all the features of the lights, compare these two models, and compare these to other lights that are on the market. MetryGrow did provide these two lights to me free of charge for this review, but I'm under no obligation to say anything positive about the lights. So I'm going to give you a very honest review. I've also arranged with MetryGrow to give away 2 free 100 watt lights. And I'll give you more information on how to get those later on in the program. There are actually 3 models of light. In this model here, there's both a 60 watt and a 48 watt unit. And they're essentially the same, except of course the 48 watt uses a little less electricity and produces a little less light. I'm going to focus on the 60 watt because I think that will be a better choice between those two. The design of the 100 watt is also similar, but there are some key differences between these two. Before you buy these, it's important to understand those differences. The applications for these two lights is slightly different. Now let's have a look at the light and I'll show you how to assemble it. The main light unit looks like this. Of course, lights on one side. In the back, there's special fins here for cooling. These are these black areas. There's some areas here where you can put in some wires and hang the light. And they do supply the hardware for doing that. In the middle here, there's 3 important pieces. This will hold the light onto the stand. And then there's 2 connections for the power and the controller. Let's start with the stand itself. This is the base. And it's very substantial. It's quite heavy. This will keep it from toppling over. And then there's a connector here for the vertical rod. Now if you want a shorter stand, you can use this piece, which is the piece that has to be at the top. If you want this a little longer, there are 2 extension pieces like this. So you could put these in first and then put the top piece on. And this just simply screws on the stand. Once it's on the stand, you can loosen this copper piece, then raise this up. So this is the height of your base unit. In addition to that, you have this flexible arm. That goes in here, you can tighten it down, and now you can move the light up and down and adjust it right above your plants. So this gives you a very flexible way of adjusting the light and getting it to the right height. Now getting this attached to your light is a little tricky, but not too bad. There's a nut here. Take that off. Slide it over this ball joint. Connect the 2. It's a lot easier if you don't have to hold it up. Now the 2 are attached. It swivels so you can adjust the light in different angles. And with this part you can adjust the various heights. It's a very flexible stand. All that's left is to attach the controller and the power supply. And you're ready to go. Now we've had a look at the stands, and the stands are identical between the 2 units. Both of them can be set up the way I've done these. These are sitting on a desk, and I can raise and lower these at any height I want over top of my desk. Or I can set these up with the extra extension poles and set them up for a higher plant. You might want to do that if you're setting these up in a corner in the living room, for instance, and you have a very large plant. Well, what are some other similarities? Both of the lights come with manual controllers and timers. Both of them are equipped with Wi-Fi, so you can use the app to control these lights. Both lights include LED chips in the far red region. That's down in the 730 nanometer range, and we're finding that that range is really important for blooming plants. The higher quality lights on the market all now have that light, but the budget lights don't. Both lights can also be hung from the ceiling, and the hardware for that is provided, and both sets of lights have these handy little hooks to hook them up. So that will work better in a grow room. That also works better if you have a plant stand and you want to mount these on the bottom shelf of a plant stand. Then you wouldn't use these stands, but you'd remount them yourself. The 100 watt is slightly larger by a couple inches. The difference in size is not that much. What about price? Right now on Amazon, the 60 watt light lists for $109, but it offers a $20 discount coupon off that price. The 100 watt light is $122 with a $10 off coupon. They're very similar in price, but for a few extra dollars, you get a lot more light with the 100 watt. Now, if you look at the PPFD maps for these two lights, they're also quite different. The 60 watt is giving us a value of 560 right in the center of the light, 1 foot above the surface. The 100 watt light in the same location is giving us a value of 1036. So the 100 watt light is almost twice as bright as the 60 watt. At least that's what the PPFD map shows. I'm going to go into this in more detail in a few minutes, but there's a significant design difference between these two that affects that light. At the beginning of this program, I mentioned that we're giving away 2 free 100 watt lights. Here's how you get those. I put a link in the description for the MetryGrow Instagram account. Use that link, go to the account, and that will take you to a special post about this light. Add a comment to that post and you will be automatically registered for a chance to win one of 2 free lights. Unfortunately, this offer is only valid for shipping in the US. Now, if you don't win, you can still get a 15% discount when you order this light. And the details of that will be found in the post on the Instagram account. So everybody that leaves a comment is going to be a winner. You'll either get a free light or 15% off. You can't lose, so click on that link. Now let's compare the manual controller with the app. On the manual controller, I can select between veg and bloom mode, just like the app. I can also select the intensity of light, but I only have 2 settings, either 50% or 100%. In the app, I have more levels to select from. The 60 watt lamp gives me 6 levels, and the 100 watt lamp gives me 8 levels. The manual controller has a setting for the time, but it only gives me 2 options, either 12 hours or 16 hours. The app allows me to set that continuously. There's another difference that's not so obvious. If I want the lights to come on at 9 o'clock, I have to come down and manually turn them on at 9 o'clock the first time, and then select either 12 hours or 16 hours. After that, it will turn on every morning and turn off every night. Now on the app, I can go in at any time and select the actual time that I want to set. So I can come in at, say, 10:30 in the morning and set it to start at 9 o'clock. So it'll start up right away now, and then tomorrow morning it'll start at 9 o'clock. I don't actually have to be there to start at 9 o'clock. So that's a slight advantage. The app also has the ability to program in a sunrise and a sunset. So that turns the lights on very slowly and increases the light in the morning and then turns them off slowly at night to mimic natural daylight. To be honest, I've never seen any reports that indicate that that is a benefit to plants. Commercial growers just turn their lights on whenever they want them on and off when they want them off. So I'm not sure what the real value here is, except perhaps on an aesthetic basis if you have this growing in your living room. How do these lights compare to the competition? I think we have to compare it to 2 different groups. There's the higher end lights. And in that case, I think this light competes pretty well. For higher end lights, we know what the PPFD map is. We know what kind of light is produced. Most of them now do include the far infrared light. The MetryGrow light has quite good intensity compared to other grow lights. Now, there are some other grow lights that have a much higher level of intensity, but they also cost a whole lot more. If we're looking at lamps in the $100 range, this competes pretty nicely with most other things on the market. There are some advantages that this light has over other high-end lights. One is the stand. Almost all the other high-end lights are designed to be hung in the grow room, so they come with wires. If you want a more decorative lamp sitting in your living room or on a table somewhere, I think this is a much better choice. It comes with a stand. You don't have to put hooks in the ceiling and try to hang your lights. The look of the lamp is also much nicer. So if I was putting something into my living area, this is a good choice. If I want a light for my grow area, which is in the basement somewhere, and I don't care what it looks like, then the other lights on the market will do just fine. Another thing to note is that this light comes with a timer, and almost all other high-end lights don't have that feature. You have to connect the power to a mechanical timer, set that, and then it controls the light. Here it's built right into the controller, which is a really nice feature. If you're interested in using an amp to control your light, this light has it. Most other high-end lamps do not come with an amp. So how do these lights compare to the lower end of the market? Well, many of the budget lights are down in the $20 to $50 range, so this is a more expensive light, but you get a lot more for that money. First of all, we know what the spectra from this light looks like, and we know that the intensity is quite high. When we compare that to budget light, the intensity is much, much higher. And in fact, I recently did a video to review some of the budget lights, and my conclusion was that almost none of them, including shop lights, have enough intensity to grow good plants. So you might be saving a few dollars, but your plants aren't going to grow as well. A lot of budget lights do come with timers. One of the lights I reviewed was this ring light. It also comes with a stand, so the idea is that you put the plant on the stand and the light's above it. But look at the stand. It's a flimsy plastic piece that almost doesn't stand up on its own. In fact, the instructions tell you to put your plant on top of it to hold it in place. In comparison, the stand that comes with this is very heavy duty and will stand up on its own. None of the budget lights that I looked at included the far red spectrum, and that can be important for plants. So although this light is more expensive than the budget light, I think that if you're a serious gardener, this is a much better choice. Why is the intensity of these lights so important? I mean, I can take some of these budget lights, and if I move them right down, right close to the plant, I can grow things. A lot of people do that with shop light, right? You put them down to 1 or 2 inches above the light. Some of them can be made to work. The nice thing about this light is, to get that same intensity, I can keep it much higher, which makes it much easier for me to play with my plants, to water them and clean them and deadhead them and so on. It's really nice to have a high intensity light that can be higher up above the plant. And when you do need higher intensity, you have it available. Whereas with a budget light, you just can't get more light. So if you have leggy seedlings under your budget light, can't do much about it. In this case, if I got leggy seedlings, I just lower the light a little bit and I won't have leggy seedlings. Now let's talk about the design difference between the 100 watt and the 60 watt. It might seem like a very small difference, but it actually has a fairly big effect on the amount of light your plants get. The 100 unit is designed in a more traditional way, and a lot of the higher end LED grow lights are designed this way now. The LED chips are mounted right on a flat surface, so the light comes out of the chips and spreads out. The 48 watt and 60 watt units are different. The LED chips in this case are recessed in these little wells. On the close-up, you'll be able to see the depression. Those wells focus the light more downward. If you look at the PPFD map of these two lights, the 100 watt has a value of 1036, right in the center of the light, 1 foot up. In comparison, the 60 watt light has a value of 560, so almost half as much. I measured the light output of these two lights and I got quite a different response. The 100 watt gave me a value of 495 and the 60 watt gave me a value of 420. So when I measured these two lights, I got almost the same light reading right in the center under them. And yet the data for the PPFD map shows that the 100 watt is about twice the 60 watt. So how do you explain that difference? Well, it has to do with the way the chips are mounted on the light. When they're flush mounted, like on the 100 watt, the light comes out and goes sideways. That means there's less light below the chip. A lot of it spreads out sideways. On the 60 watt, it has these wells that focuses the light downward. And you can actually see that when you turn these two lights on side by side. The light on the 60 watt comes almost straight down. So it's concentrated right under the light. It gives you a high value there. The 100 watt light produces light that spreads out. So which is better? Well, the 60 watt is better if you want a lot of light on a small surface. If you have a small number of plants under it, but you need high intensity, it's a good choice. The 100 watt is better to give you light over a larger surface area. Now, how do you explain the difference between the number given in the marketing brochure and the number that I got? Well, they're measured different ways. When I measure it, I just measure the light on its own. It doesn't have anything around the light. The PBFD map that's used in marketing is always measured inside a grow tent. The grow tent is very reflective, and so any light that spreads out to the side gets reflected back into the center. So a measurement in a grow tent gives you much higher values under the light than I get when I measure it, because I don't put anything around the light. A lot of the light that's generated is lost to the sides, and I'm only metering it in the middle. So I'm missing that light. So when I measure this light with my meter, I get a lower value than the advertised value, because the advertised value is done in a tent. But with this light, my reading and the advertised reading are pretty similar, because the tent doesn't really help this light because it's already focused straight down. I hope that makes sense to you. So there you have it. That's my review of these two lights. I think for the price, they're a very good buy. If you're looking for a light that you're going to have in your living room and you want the light to look nice, this is one of your best choices. It does provide quite a high intense light, and it will grow good plants. If you like some of the features that the app provides, it's also a good choice. Now, if you want to learn more about growing plants under lights, have a look at these videos right here. Happy gardening.